Platform 17 for the 1832 South Central service to Brighton, fast to East Croydon, then Red Hill, Gatwick Airport, Three Bridges, Morecambe, Haywards Heath, Whipplesfield, Burgess Hill, Essex, Preston Park and Brighton. Customers for London Road, School, Falmer and Lewis, also Hove and stations to Worthing should change at right. Then Red Hill, Gatwick Airport, Three Bridges, Morecambe, Haywards Heath, Whipplesfield, Burgess Hill, Essex, Preston Park and Brighton. Customers for London Road, School, Falmer and Lewis, also Hove and stations to Worthing should change at right.
very spiritual today. Did some retail therapy earlier. Just feeling good, man. Went to the Rolex store. Hublot, Hermes, where else did I end up? The Porsche dealership. Feeling good now. Feeling good. Felt like $1 million. Still eating my salad. You know, the thing about interdimensional aliens. They exist. Today on stream, FC Dallas jersey. Hey. You're not going to be able to tell because of the green screen, but look what I got. Huh? Look at that. Look at it. Look how sick it looks. Huh? Doesn't that look sick? I'm pumped about this one, man. Look how cool it looks. I got me an Arsenal kit, lads. No, not DH game. I went to the. I was just out running errands, and I went to the. I went to the Allen Outlets, and just stopped by the Adidas store, and dude, $150 jerseys. These are all $150. The Arsenal kit, this FC Dallas kit, they're on sale, folks, for $50 a pop. So I scooped up some. By the way, for those in the area, I'll just say, I was just about to say, the Allen Outlets still have this just lingering evil feeling over them. It just feels weird. It just feels bad being there, man. This feels bad. You saw the Ronaldo channel subs? I did, yes. My Vice is really milking this offseason dry. I'm actually pretty pumped about the stream today. I feel like it's actually a pretty good topic. Grading the biggest moves of the last 5 off seasons. Bleach Report did an article on this. I didn't read the Bleach Report article, but I decided to do my own little twist on it. I'm not streaming the farewell game tomorrow. I have family stuff, but also I'll definitely like tune in maybe. I did see Cristiano Ronaldo break every record. Yes. Are you guys is everyone gonna ask me that? Am I supposed to care about that? Like what's gonna be on his YouTube channel that I would care about? And I don't mean that in a mean way. I know that comes off mean, but genuinely. Do you see the Ronaldo YouTube? Who's Ronaldo? So by the way, there will be Luka Doncic basketball tomorrow, Saturday, 20 o'clock CET time. No, that's not CTE time, folks. That's what the NFL should have their games on. CET to CST. Central Standard Time. I don't know what the fuck I'm looking at. A Shams bomb? Is this an actual bomb? Wait, what? It's my turn now. Breaking news, folks. The Pelicans are waiving wing shooter Matt Ryan. Ryan averaged 5.4 points and shot 45% from 3-point range in 13 minutes a night for 28 games for the fucking... Don't ever tweet me again. Don't ever tell me again. And look, I lost where I was going. And look, I lost... Where to watch? I feel Slovenia Night of the Dragon. This is Goran Dragic's goodbye tour. I'm trying to figure out 7-hour time difference. So this is about 20. This is about 1 p.m. Central Standard Time tomorrow. I think it's streaming on the NBA app. So there you go. If you want to see it. Dude, have you lost like 30 pounds since recording the Segway clip? Yeah, probably. When was that? February-ish? Definitely lost some weight since then. Also, my beard was bigger. It makes my face look bigger. Pretty much this time tomorrow. Luka will be there. Dragic, Steve Nash is playing. I saw some rumors that Dirk could play in this. Jokic is playing. Bogey is playing. So there's some pretty heavy hitters. So there you go. That'll be pretty fun. Obviously, I don't expect this to be intense competition or anything, but chance to watch Luka. What else? Real briefly, I want to talk about this. By the way, this fun thing that we did on our last stream kind of left my intended audience, and some people are mad about it. And funny enough, always Celtics fans. It's like, man, can you guys shut the fuck up? That's why you're here. That's why you're here. Like, what more do you want? I put Drew Holiday in best perimeter defender by himself. I put you guys in the best role players. Like, that's a compliment. Your entire team is stacked full of insanely good role players. Your team is incredible. And it's always Celtics fans. This is the worst list I've ever seen because I put Luka as the best, right? It's like, why do you guys hate Luka so much? Like, you guys won. What's going on? And that leads me to this. Like, this tweet right here. Where was it? Where was it? By the way, this is hilarious. Brian Windhorst signed autographed card. I want it. I want it on that. I want it. Who's the better player for you right now? Giannis wins. I don't have a problem with that, by the way. I don't have a problem. Okay? With Giannis, people thinking Giannis is better than Luka. I genuinely don't have any problem with it. Okay? I don't. I think it's fine. All over this thread is Celtics fans crying like little babies. Just crying. At first I was disgusted. At first I was disgusted. If you go into the quotes, it's all Celtics fans mad about this. Celtics fans, what is your deal? Why are you guys so annoying? I don't understand. You guys won. You won. What is the hatred towards Luka still? You guys won. It's over. You know what's funny is it actually, if we were just talking pure propaganda, it would actually be in your benefit if you guys hyped up Luka. And we're like, hey guys, Luka's actually like really good. What the Celtics did to him is like pretty impressive. Instead, they're just crying endlessly crying. And they always somehow, for some reason, flood my tweets anytime I talk about Luka. But anyway, some of the like quotes in response to this are just absolutely insane. Not that I usually care, but it's like, how did we get here? In what world is Luka being able to shoot threes more impactful than the defensive impact Giannis gives you? So let me start here. All right, let me just start here. And yes, I'm coming from a place of, Luka being my favorite player, Luka being the best player on my favorite team. So yes, obviously there's some slightly bias there. but this idea that two-way players are like the two-way players matter more than anything, and defense is 50% and offense is 50%. Get serious. That's not how it is. It's not how it's ever fucking been. All right? Get serious. It has never been like that. It'll never be like that. This game is about a bucket. Period. Offense is like 70% of basketball. It just is. You're lying to yourself if you think otherwise. You're also lying to yourself if you think a heavy usage offensive player is really impacting defense at a super strong level. Because those guys just really don't exist in the NBA. Remember, it was supposed to be Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards is going to take Kyrie Irving, and he's going to guard. Anthony Edwards is going to guard Kyrie Irving, and he's going to be the number one option. And the Timberwolves are going to stop Kyrie. This motherfucker was gassed by the second quarter, and that shit was over and done with. Okay? It doesn't work. It doesn't work like how you think it works. It simply does not work. All right? So get this shit out of here. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is the fourth best defender on his team. So two-way. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is the fourth best defender. And guess what? I saw with my own two eyes. When the Mavericks played the Oklahoma City Thunder, what did I witness? I watched the Thunder hide Shai Gilgeous-Alexander on P.J. Washington, and the Mavericks torched him. The Mavericks said, no, you're not hiding, buddy. Get on the block. We're taking your ass under the basket with P.J. Washington. So enough of this shit. And by the way, Giannis a great defender. I watch the games, man. I watch them. The impact is not what you guys claim it is. It just isn't. I watch them. You know what I see when I see Luka Doncic play basketball? I see probably the best offensive engine in the league. And it would easily be the best offensive engine in the league if Jokic, who is going to retire as one of the greatest offensive players in the history of the sport, wasn't playing. I see a pure bucket getter, probably the best bucket getter in the NBA currently, and quite possibly the best playmaker and passer in the NBA currently. You're like, what are we talking about? How did Luka average a 34 points, 9 rebounds, 9 assists, damn near a 34-point triple-double on a team that won 50 games despite their slew of injuries, make an NBA Finals run as the lower seed in every single series, going up against the number 1 seed in the Western Conference? Everyone's darling. We love the Thunder. We love Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, second in MVP voting. We love you, Chet Holmgren. We love you, J-Dub. Woof, 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 woof. We love the Thunder. Beat them. Timberwolves. Oh, the Nuggets-Timberwolves series is basically the finals. Remember everyone was saying that? The Timberwolves-Nuggets series is the finals. The Timberwolves just beat the Nuggets in a Game 7. Rudy Gobert hit a fucking fadeaway jumper. Dude, like, they're unbeatable. That was the NBA Finals right there. Luka stared that team in the face, slapped them, laughed at them, and then dog-walked them in embarrassing fashion. I mean, that was an evisceration, folks. And I will not let people forget it. Luka with one leg, basically. Because also, too, I'm not going to, the Luka injured gimmick. He was hurt. You just exposed yourself. You just exposed yourself for not watching during the regular season. That's all you just did. You thought you made a funny point. You think he was hurt? Yes, because I watch. And you just exposed yourself. Congratulations. You just made yourself look like a dumbass. Good job. Good work. Congrats. Luka with basically one knee dog walked what was supposed to be the best defense since the Pistons. One of the best defenses ever. Remember, Nuggets Timberwolves was the finals. Dog walked them. And was he good in the finals? No, he wasn't. Were the Mavs good in the finals? No, he wasn't. But it goes back to that stupid thing. Like, would it have been better if he didn't make the finals? Is that what it is? Giannis hasn't won a playoff series in 2 years, folks. And granted, he's been hurt. It's not his fault. This just proves me likability argument. After that finals performance, Buddy's got Luka ahead of Giannis. This is strictly based off likability. Luka is not better than a guy coming off of 30 points per game and 60% field goal. But mind you, Luka just averaged 34, 9, and 9. Like, mind you that. Mind you that Luka averaged 34, 9, and 9. Like people who get worked up about shit like this, who can't even process that people think Luka is not only the best player in the league, but obviously if they think Luka's the best player in the league, they think he's better than Giannis. They think he's better than Jokic. Luka plays one side of the ball, man, and that's the side of the ball that matters more than anything else. And you are fucking lying to yourself. You are lying to yourself if you think otherwise. You just are. This like gimmick. This has become a gimmick. This has become a complete and total gimmick. Jason Tatum is better than Luka Doncic. You see what I mean? It's these. What's wrong with the Celtics? Like, what's going on? This is my stance. I think it's Luka, but I'm not going to go crazy on you if you think it's Giannis. The way that people think it's absurd to even suggest this. Replace Luka with Giannis on Dallas in the finals last year, and they beat the Celtics by 6. You want to know something? They don't make the NBA finals. They do not make the NBA finals. I don't even know if they make it out of the play-in tournament. Truth be told, I don't think they survive in the regular season. During the stretches where Luka had to put an entire fucking team on his back and average like a 40-point triple-double over the course of 2 months. Sorry. It doesn't work like that. I just watched Luka literally lose his team the finals because he couldn't beat 40-year-old Al Horford on the dribble. Not to mention one of the worst displays of defense. Basketball discourse sucks, man. It just does. It's horrible. It really sucks. It's a shame that it's turned into this. It's a shame that it's turned into this. Luka was the reason the Mavs lost the NBA Finals. That's what people are going with. What? White European xenophobia? No, it's not that. It's not. This is basketball discourse for everyone. Genuinely, it's not that. This is how people talk about basketball now. Literally have seen my team play Giannis multiple times on Luka in a finals, and Luka was an insanely easier task to guard. Like, he ain't even pressured the defense at all. Both great players. Only one of them is a lead on both ends, though. You want to know what I also don't get with Luka? Why do we pretend that, like... Why do we pretend that playmaking is just, like, a normal thing? Like, why do we never talk about Luka's scoring ability being much better than Giannis's? Full stop. Luka's ability to score being at a different level than Giannis's. I know Giannis averaged 30 points, an absurd efficiency. That's all great. Giannis is an incredible player. I think the top 3 in the NBA. Top 3 in the NBA, Luka, Giannis, and Jokic for me, in whatever order you want. I know I'm going crazy. I don't really care if you have Giannis ahead of Luka. I think Giannis is amazing. This type of like, what the hell? Are we serious? Like, come on. What are we doing? The scoring thing is tricky because the volume and output is similar to Luka. Luka just has more way to score. Yes, Luka, if you want to get a bucket, nobody's picking Giannis over Luka. Period. Slightly like my tweet? No. Bucks fan? I don't mind Bucks fans. But Luka, like, why do people like either pretend or try to forget that Luka is the playmaker that he is? It's because they've been brainwashed, and they don't watch. They've been brainwashed by the usage, by the Luka's a ball hog. Luka doesn't get his teammates involved. Everyone hates playing with Luka. They've been brainwashed by those terrible narratives that have never been true ever, right? Never ever been true. So, and mind you, they don't watch. Like, that's one thing you always have to factor in. They don't watch. They don't watch the sport. They expose themselves all the time. So you know they don't watch the sport. They don't see the obscene playmaking Luka puts on display night in and night out. And by the way, Giannis is a underrated and underappreciated playmaker. Genuinely believe that. Ryan Russillo talking about how his style can never win, brainwash them. Ryan Russillo actually, as a statistic, looks up number of passes. You believe that? Ryan Russillo goes on his podcast, and it's hilarious. Every time he brings it up, he realizes how fucking stupid it is. Because he's like, well, I look at the numbers, and the Mavericks and Knicks and Clippers are all bottom 30 in passing, but they have a great offense. So maybe it's just a stupid thing. Yes, it's stupid. Yes, you thank you. Yes, it is stupid. Somebody clip that last 10 minutes and save it for when Luka stands try to proclaim that I hate Luka, please. It just really gets me going, man. It pisses me off. All right, what do we want to do next? I wasn't planning that. We have grading the last 5 off seasons. I have a PowerPoint. I'm excited about it. NBA predictions. So ESPN dropped their record predictions. Why is ESPN doing all this so early? I don't get it. We're going to do all this stuff anyways, but I'm saying what order do we want to do it in? Do we want to look at what the ESPN experts believe each team's records will be, or do we want to start with the last 5 off seasons? It's up to you guys. Experts? ESPN first? Okay. Well, all right, folks. ESPN has decided that 2 months before the NBA season is tipped off, and we've seen these teams in preseason or training camp or whatever the case may be, now is the time to do their NBA predictions when really no one's asking for it, but, content is content nonetheless. Let us see. We last stream, we looked over their award predictions, and now we have their win-loss records for every team. This is clickbait right here, folks. This is clickbait at its finest, and I applaud them for it. NBA predictions, win-loss records for Warriors, Thunder, and every West team. Just got to throw I'm surprised the Lakers weren't in this title. Warriors, Lakers, and every West team. You could have just said every West team, but, it is genius. That's SEO at its finest right there, folks. Take notes. I've not seen these. This was yesterday. I haven't seen these. I haven't even seen is ESPN falling off, or Legion Hoops is falling off? I haven't even seen a Legion Hoops clickbait, engagement farming list of this. Also, same narrative gets recycled like Luka came out of shape every year. Yeah. Instead, Legion Hoops is posting this. Neon, who the fuck is Neon? I don't know. Neon says it's harder to be a streamer than be in the Olympics. Per drama alert. Agree? Legion Hoops, per drama alert. Folks, the NBA season needs to start immediately. Okay? Immediately. They need to up the schedule. They need to move the schedule up. All right, so here we go. Start with the Oklahoma City Thunder with 57 wins. That's what the experts are predicting. That sounds about right to me. Now let me pull up their over-unders just so I can see what how the experts feel about over-unders. NBA over-unders, because the Thunder were what, like 55, I think? It feels about right. I do think the Thunder will be the 1 seed. Barring injuries and stuff like that, which is possible. I mean, they were very healthy a year ago. Very healthy a season ago. Dude, the way that FanDuel has this all played out is just so fucking bad. I don't want to have to click on every single team to figure out what their over-under is. But the Thunder's over-under is 56.5. So ESPN experts think that they'll be over that. Timberwolves at 54. So, I guess for me, where I've circled back, and this is 2 wins over their projected win total by Vegas. Where I've struggled back on the Timberwolves is where do the experts see this big improvement coming from? I don't really understand. I just feel like roster-wise, the loss of Kyle Anderson and not really replacing him, you replace him with the corpse of Joe Ingles. I don't know. Now, granted, this is 2 games worse regular season record-wise than they were a season ago. That feels about right to me, actually. But they are expecting the aura leap. They're expecting an aura leap from Anthony Edwards. Really a playmaking leap. If Ant does make a substantial playmaking leap, then yes, for sure. They'll still be a really good regular season team. Mavericks at 3rd, 52 wins. That is 2 wins better than last season. That is 2 wins above their win total. I do think the Mavericks, assuming that they're healthy, should be around mid-50 wins. That would be my expectations and my hopes, contending for a 1 seed, as well as, bare minimum home court advantage in a first-round series. That has to be where they end up at, assuming that they are healthy, of course. Remember, they won 50 games a season ago, dealing with so many injuries, completely revamping the roster at the trade deadline. Opinion, nobody becomes a playmaker. You get better at it. Like, Devin Booker unquestionably got better as a playmaker over the course of his career, right? Denver Nuggets at 52 wins. This, of course, would be 5 wins worse than they were a season ago. That kind of sounds about right to me. 52 wins, around there. This is also over their win total, which is currently 51.5. The Nuggets will still be good, obviously. Just really worried about Jamal Murray, man. Really worried about it. But if Christian Brown takes a step, Peyton Watson, like one of those guys takes a step, then they'll still be really good. Phoenix Suns, 49 wins. This is the same exact win total they had a year ago. Anytime I think about the Suns, I warm up on them. Now, there's a lot on the back of an old Kevin Durant at this point. I feel like you got lucky with Nurkic last year, given his injury history. Beal's hurt all the time. But, man, I just can't help but feel like they're going to be a good team. I just can't help but feel like they're going to be a good basketball team this year, especially with actually having real point guards. Keep in mind, they didn't have one last year. And now you have Tyus Jones and Monte Morris, 2 really strong floor generals. Is it crazy to think KD is still top 5 in the league right now? No, that 5th spot, depending on who you have in your top 5, that 5th spot's there for the taking. Sacramento Kings, 47 wins. So they have the Sacramento Kings in a playoff spot. They finished with 46 wins a season ago. Definitely possible. You guys know how I don't view the Kings as real contenders or anything like that, but this feels within the range of outcomes for them. Which means in the play-in tournament, we got the Pelicans, 46 wins. Who the fuck knows? Currently, they're at 45.5 wins. I can't feel good about the Pelicans at all until I know what they're doing with their center position. I mean, they don't have any real ones. Golden State at 45 wins. So this would be a 1-game decrease from a year ago. 8th seed. Somebody laid out the Warriors roster, and they were like, this looks really good. It was a Warriors fan, obviously. And I was looking at it, and I was like, I felt pretty good about the Warriors entering the season, but same argument can be made about the Knicks. Well, the Knicks are just better than the Pelicans, but also the Knicks do have Mitchell Robinson, who is just leaps and bounds better than anybody the Pelicans have. Memphis Grizzlies at 44 wins. So they think the Grizzlies are a play-in team. I think the Grizzlies could very easily be a top 4 team in the West. And the more I say that, then you look at the teams, and it's just kind of like a lot would have to go right for them. You know what I mean? But they have the Grizzlies going under their win total by 3 games. Interesting. And the Rockets at 44-38 making a play-in tournament. Now, you might think it's crazy. 10th seed with 44 wins is insane. The Warriors were the 10th seed last year with 46 wins. 10 games above 500, 10th seed. So, if you want to be competing for a play-in tournament or a playoff spot, you need to be winning a lot of basketball games. A lot of basketball games. The Rockets being a playing team, I could definitely see it. Now, this means that they have the Lakers out of it entirely. At 44-38, wow. Imagine going 44-38 and being the 11th seed. That would not feel good. So for me, it's actually pretty easy to see an argument for the Lakers missing the play-in tournament entirely. New coach. And, wow, Vegas is really low on the Lakers. 43.5 wins. Damn. Has that gone down? They win 47 games last year. And that was with LeBron and AD being like kind of weirdly very healthy. And if something happens to one of those two guys, knock on glass obviously, but a very real possibility, you could easily see how this sort of melts down for the Lakers. But I also think the Lakers roster, they're like better than the Warriors, in my opinion, right? I think if we're just going contention-wise, like who could win a title? Who has a better chance to win a title? I would pick the Lakers over the Kings. But regular season-wise, yeah. Clippers at 43-39. Of course, the Clippers won 51 games last year, but they got notably worse. I struggle to see how the Clippers end up over 500, to be honest with you. In a conference this stacked, I really struggle to see how they end up over 500. The Spurs at 35-47. Now, that would be a huge win increase for the Spurs. That would be 15 games better, 13 games better than they were a season ago. That's very difficult to do. And that's where you have to, like, if you think the Spurs can jump into the play-in tournament, which I think is possible, they would have to take a pretty, like, unprecedented win leap. And they didn't really do much. It's not like they brought in a superstar or anything like that. You know, they brought in an old Chris Paul. They brought in Harrison Barnes. Like, you'd be banking on Wemby turning into an MVP, basically, in year 2. That's still a huge win boost. Utah Jazz at 26 wins. Yeah, the Jazz will be pretty bad. 31 a year ago. And the Trailblazers at 22 wins, which would just be a 1-win improvement off last year. It kind of sucks for the Blazers. Because, honestly, their roster's not bad. Like, there's some interesting young talent there. I like that they went out and got Avdia. You know, you assume that Simons, Sharp, Scoot, these guys will get a little bit better. Avdia will still probably get better. Ayton. You know, Jeremy Grant's there, but somebody's got to lose in this conference, man. Toumani Camara leap. There you go. Somebody's got to lose in this conference. There's only 2 to 3 teams in the West that absolutely suck. I would say 2 teams in the West that absolutely suck. Like, you could say Jazz and Trailblazers, but even then, it's not, like, the Jazz don't have a horrendous roster. They need to fit. Like, the conferences are so out of whack, so out of it right now. And it's funny because I think we're only a year or 2 removed from people being like, hey, the East is actually as good as the West now. It's not even remotely close. I haven't really like sat down and thought about my predictions yet because, again, we have 2 months. But nothing feels like super off here. It just feels pretty safe. Win-loss records for every East team. Let's see here. Celtics with 61 wins. So their over-under on FanDuel is what, 58 or something like that? Yeah, 58.5. I really struggle to see them getting... I just struggle to see them not winning 60 games again. Unless they just, like, don't care. And KP's out till, like, February. Which is possible, I guess. Knicks with 53 wins. So a 3-win improvement. I actually like this. I thought that they would have the Knicks at like 57 wins. This is about right for me. They had 53.5 wins as their over-under on FanDuel. And I said when Nick and I did like our over-under sort of peak thing, I had the Knicks as one of my under locks. I think that it might take some time to gel and get used to each other. Oh, they played in college together. Okay, different thing. But also too, I mean, the center stuff is scary. I said it with the Pelicans. It's the same thing with the Knicks. It's a little bit spooky. If Mitchell Robinson gets hurt, who the fuck is playing center? Precious Achua? I mean, I guess you could do worse. OG's the guy who's also hurt all the time. Now, you do have Mikal Bridges, who is an Iron Man, but Julius Randle's hurt a lot, especially recently. Mitchell Robinson hurt a lot. OG hurt quite a bit. Sixers with 52 wins. 47 last year for the Sixers with Embiid missing a ton of time. They brought in Paul George. Just feels about right. This would be under their win total as well. 52.5 wins for the Sixers. It depends on how careful they want to be with Embiid. Because last year, again, Embiid not healthy in the playoffs. Granted, he had some pretty good performances, but they have to be thinking, can we please get just a healthy Embiid in the playoffs once? Cavs at 50 wins. Nice. So they finished last year with 48 wins. They're at 48.5 wins right now. I struggle to see how they don't get to 50 wins, to be honest with you. New coach, Kenny Atkinson. They bring back Donovan Mitchell. I struggle to see. They were also hurt quite a bit last year. I think they'll get to 50 wins. Like, the top four feels pretty low. Oh, wow. I just now noticed the Bucks have 49 wins. So they think the Bucks stay the exact same, huh? Huh. Bucks win 49 games last year with how up and down their season was. How do they not get to 50 wins? How do the Bucks not get to 50 wins? All our boys are partying on a boat together? I did see that. Unless you just think the Dame and Giannis pairing is cooked. I don't know. Such a weird year last year. Full season of Doc Rivers tax? All right, that's fair. Magic at 47 wins. That's where they finished a year ago. Similar thing. Like, how did the Magic not get better? But then you think about it, it's like, I mean, some teams have to lose. You can't just predict every team to be better than they were a season ago. Like, obviously the Magic are a better team than they were a year ago, but I could see them having around the same record. Because I feel like the East will be a little bit more difficult this year. So Indiana, who made the Eastern Conference Finals a season ago. Now, did they get a little bit lucky? Yes. But 46 wins. They won 47 a year ago. This feels about right. I would put the Pacers below the Magic and every team ahead of them. Although I do kind of like the Pacers this year, though. The Heat winning 45 games. Oh, my God. Look at the drop-off. I was just about to say the fucking Hawks in the play-in, but they have the Hawks going 31 and 51, 20 games below 500, and making the play-in tournament. Mind you, in the West, they had, who was it? The Warriors finishing 12 games above 500. Dude, they need a shift. I don't know. Maybe they just have to get rid of conferences and just do the 16 best teams in the league. Like, the fact that there's going to be probably 2 to 3 like pretty solid Western Conference teams that don't even make the play-in tournament versus the fucking Hawks and Bulls. All right, so I can't. Though. Oh my God, they have the Hornets at 21 and 61. What? The Hornets went 21 and 61 a year ago. There is no way the Hornets are that bad again. I'm sorry. I'm putting the Hornets in the play-in tournament. Straight up. I'm swapping them in the Bulls or the Hawks. I guess the Bulls. The Hawks don't really want to tank. How? There's no way the Hornets are worse than the Nets. There's no way. Tell you guys how many wins do the Hornets get? Let's give the Hornets 35 and 47. Let's go 35 wins for the Hornets. 35 and 47 would be my early prediction. What do the Hornets even have? I mean, dude, LaMelo Ball missed most of last season, was averaging like 30 points a game over his last 10 games before he got hurt. Another year, another Hornets copium. Man, I don't give a shit. 1 year I'm going to be right. 1 year I'm going to be right. Turmoil, turnarounds, and biggest questions. Biggest turnarounds, turbulent teams, and the biggest questions. Team turnaround. Wait, did we read this already? We did read this. Conference and NBA Finals predictions. Ooh, let's see this. Let's see this. Who will win the Eastern Conference? The Celtics. Again, pretty comfortably. It would be my prediction, at least. Celtics. Sixers at number 2. Interesting. Knicks, Bucks, Cavs. So me personally, I would go Celtics number 1. Just currently, without really thinking much about it. I think I'd have the Bucks number 2. I think they just have the highest ceiling. Then probably the Knicks, then Sixers. And then after that, I don't think there's really a case for too many other teams. Who will win the Western Conference Finals? Here we go. Thunder, overwhelming favorites. Timberwolves, Mavs, Nuggets, Suns, Lakers. Lakers? What did the Timberwolves do over the last year? They lost in 5 games to the Mavs. And the Mavs got better. Mavs versus Hornets in the finals would be a movie. I'm okay with the Thunder. The Thunder improved their roster dramatically, and they're just getting older. So I get it. Who will win the NBA Finals? If I had to pick right now, I'd say Celtics again. Celtics pretty handedly. Thunder, Sixers, Nuggets, Bucks, Knicks. And the Mavericks do get some votes. I don't get why ESPN's doing this 2 months in advance. I really don't. We're only a couple months away from, this has all been sort of, I just see it, right? I just see it. People are going to, as the season gets closer and people start doing predictions, more podcasts, more media people, the Mavericks are going to slip. They're going to say it. They're going to say, I don't know about that. Like last year might have just been like a lucky thing, kind of. They're like you scrambling for content in the empty months. Yeah, but I feel like, I don't know. The whole season predictions is like a big one. That's like a, you know. That's when you save. All right, let's get it. The streaks. Which one of these NBA players only played for one team? Jeff Green, Ish Smith, Tim Duncan, LeBron James? Definitely not Jeff Green and Ish Smith. Did Ish Smith ever break that record? Which of these players played for more than one team? Tim Duncan, Dwayne Wade, Kobe Bryant, Dirk Nowitzki. Obviously, Dwayne Wade. The Bulls, the Cavs. Those were fuck-ups. Dwayne Wade played for the Bulls, Heat, and Cavs, as I said. Is this all a basketball one? I feel good if this is all a basketball one. This rookie was just named QB1 for the Commanders. Jane Daniels? Eyeballing him in fantasy. Besides the Warriors, who else has Steve Kerr coached in the NBA? No one. He was the GM of the Suns. Played for the Spurs. Who was the number 1 seed in the AFC during the 23-24 playoffs? Oh, fuck. Was it the Bills? Bills or the Ravens? Yes. Whew. Which one of these two teams have the same number of NBA titles? Oh, this one got us last time. Pistons, Heat, Spurs, Bulls, Raptors, Knicks, Bucks, Nuggets. Oh shit. Oh, woo. Pulled that one out last minute. That's two. You have to do some math there. Who is the Jaguars' all-time leader in touchdown passes? Oh, I have no clue, dude. Is it really Blake Bortles? Fuck, man. Who is it? Mark Brunell? That would actually have been my last guess. God damn it, man. been a long time since I've gotten a number 10, dude. You know, Bleacher Report just churns out these articles. Let's look at this because real quick before we get into the meat and potatoes of today's stream. This is what we're going over. Regrading blockbuster trades. I thought that this was just big moves. Anyways, they did 10 of the biggest NBA trades the last 5 years, and I put my own little twist on it. But I want to see this real quick, actually. Bleacher Report. Bleacher Report article. It's AI written? Is this really AI written? No, I doubt it. Power ranking every NBA team's 3-year window. 3-year window. Okay. Now, I'm interested to see how they approach this because you look at who they have here. It's 2 young teams. There's probably older teams that have a better 3-year window than them. Let's see. Number 30, Chicago Bulls. Okay. So what's the argument for the Nets being ahead of the Bulls? Like, how are the Nets not dead last? They have nobody on their team. Like, I think for the Bulls, you could maybe make a case that, like, Giddey explodes onto the scene. Don't make any jokes off the Giddey explodes portion there. But Giddey explodes onto the scene. What's there for the Nets? They're going to be terrible. Wizards, okay. Blazers, all right. Pistons. Hornets, okay. I'd actually put the Pistons over the Hornets, and just because I think Cade fits the mold of what could be a championship level number 1 more than LaMelo currently. Like, obviously, neither of these teams have any real chance, but so the Clippers, to me, okay, they still do have Kawhi, but okay, yeah, this is actually fair. I just don't see how the Jazz could be this high. So let me just say, personally, I'd have the Pistons ahead of the Jazz. Now, before you say anything, the reason being, like I said, I'm big in on Cade, and I think he fits the mold. The lead guard, the lead ball handler who can play defense, who has size, can create for others, can create for himself. I guess for the Jazz, you're kind of thinking they already have Markkanen, and if they get lucky in the draft, this list is dumb because a single trade could change this entire list. That's true. The Hawks at 22, okay. The Raptors at 21. Fair. I mean, same thing I've said with Cade. I feel the same about Scotty. Like, out of every team we've talked about so far, Scotty has the sort of, you could see it being the number 1 guy. A lot would have to go his way, but you can see it. Miami Heat. Okay, I mean, yeah, they're still competitive now. I think their window has slammed shut, though, unfortunately. The Lakers, same thing. Like, a very short window, but yeah. Spurs at 18. I'm interested to see who's higher than the Spurs that I disagree with. Okay, so just right here, I don't see a pathway for the Warriors to win a finals in the next 3 years. I don't see it. It had to be Curry going God mode, or them just like Kuminga taking a gigantic leap, or Podzimski taking a gigantic leap, or they get really lucky in a trade. I think there's an easier pathway to imagine where Wemby turns into a top 3 player in the next year. And Vassell is like a top 30-ish player. And they're like really contending over the Warriors, in my opinion. I would say the same thing for the Rockets. The Rockets have a lot of interesting young talent. I would take Wemby. If I'm trying to win a championship the next 3 years, I'll just take the team with Wemby over the Rockets pretty comfortably. Suns at 15. That feels low. I can't imagine a single argument for the Kings over those Suns. I can't imagine a single argument. The Suns unquestionably have a higher ceiling than the Kings. Maybe a lower floor, but definitely a higher ceiling. You know what? I'd fucking put Wemby in just the Spurs over the Kings. Just being honest. Just being honest with you. I just don't think the Kings' ceiling is that high. Pelicans, you know, you could still talk yourself into it. Pacers, okay, they did make the conference finals a year ago. Grizzlies, kind of surprised they're not top 10, to be honest with you. Kings have a more complete roster than the Suns. Yeah, but when push comes to shove and you're in the playoffs, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, yeah, I'd rather have that. Easily. Bro, they just got DeMar for a bag of chips. Have you seen DeMar DeRozan in the playoffs? Have you seen Domantas Sabonis in the playoffs? I rest my case. Bucks at 10 feels low. If we're just going 3 years, that feels low. I do love the Magic. I can see it. I'm trying to say, how can the Magic be ahead of the Bucks? But I said it with Cade. I said it with Scotty. You can see it. Like the Paolo fits the mold. Big, can create offense for himself, good defender, a playmaking leap, an efficiency leap, and he's right in that conversation over the next 3 years. The Orlando Magic, Franz, I can see it. Magic over Bucks is insane. It's bold, but I kind of like it. Knicks, yeah. Cavs, okay. It's hard not to feel like the Cavs have peaked with this group, but there's a Mobley. There's like a Mobley explosion that could happen. You getting 2K25? I will be getting 2K25, yes. There's a Mobley explosion that could occur that puts them in a different conversation. I would have the Knicks ahead of them, though, to be honest with you. I'd have the Bucks over the Cavs as well. Timberwolves at 6. Damn, they got the Mavs high. I actually thought the Mavs would be like 10th. There's the Mavs at number 5. Oh, they're going with Lively with the pick instead of Kai. All right. Sixers. Here's my thing, right? We've seen the Luka-led Mavericks go to 2 conference finals. We've seen the Luka-led Mavericks go to an NBA finals. I mean, how many passes are we gonna give to Embiid? It's insane to me. Like, how often? I just don't get it. Can they make it out of the second round? Can they make it to a conference finals once? Mind you, they've never done it. Mind you, they have in the Embiid era, they've never done it. Nuggets hit 3. All right, I don't have a problem with that, honestly. Celtics. Thunder 1? No, sorry. The Celtics have to be number 1. We're doing 3 years. How is OKC number 1? I feel fairly confident that the Celtics will win the NBA Finals next year. I'm like not really confident the Thunder will win in the next 3 years. I'm very confident the Celtics will win next year. They do have lots of talent, lots of picks. The Celtics have a ton of talent and just one. And it's 3 years, mind you, not like 10. 3. You don't see the Mavs winning this upcoming season? I think that it'll be the Celtics again. I would love for it to be the Mavs. I mean, just saying right now. We haven't seen the Mavs play. It's easy to say the Mavs will do this. The reality is we haven't seen them play yet. Want to bet they will still call OKC a young team? They're a young team, though. They are. I guess with the Thunder, they're assuming this isn't their final form. No, for sure. The Thunder obviously are top 2. It's just kind of stupid arguing, I guess. But Why are the Celtics not number one? I kind of feel like something would have to go wrong for the Celtics to not win again. Just being honest with you. And maybe they're thinking the Celtics can win next year, but then maybe the Thunder win the next two. You never know, man. His name is KP. They're still going to be so good, dude. They didn't need KP, man. They really didn't. We easily win game 2 and 3 against Boston if Luka's healthy, by the way. I mean, don't get me wrong. The Mavericks could do it next year. I don't want you to think I think anything otherwise. They for sure could do it. All right, we're an hour into the stream. It's time to get into what we came here for. What we came here for. Sorry, you guys have to hear all that. I'm excited about this one. I put a lot of time and effort into this, believe it or not. It's always funny, the time and effort I put into some of the PowerPoint streams. Rarely ever is it worth it. But this was a fun little exercise. So, grading the biggest moves of the last 5 off seasons by yours truly. Slightly biased. If you guys enjoy this, leave a like. Hey, like the video. Hey, if you guys like it, why don't you go ahead and drop a like? Huh? Leave a like, guys. What do I got to do? Do I need to show my nipples? So I went and I decided to pick the 5 biggest moves of the last 5 off seasons. And I dug deep here, okay? Obviously, we're using hindsight, which makes this fun. This isn't like at the time this was a B. So we're using hindsight. I don't really care about the context at the time that it happened. We're just looking whether it was a successful move or not. And this gets fun as we get deeper into it. If there were trades, I want to look at what the trades turned into. So obviously, when we inevitably get to like the Paul George trade, we're going to factor in what those picks turn into, what Shea turned into. So this will be fun. This is for the all the NBA. The Mavs are. I'll just tell you right now. Actually, I'm not going to say that because I don't want you guys to click away. All right, here we go. Starting with last offseason. Now, last offseason, it's not enough time has passed necessarily, but we'll get into it. We will get into it. Maybe like one of the biggest moves. It wasn't like that crazy of an offseason last year compared to some of the batshit insane offseasons we've gotten over the last 5 years. But the Bradley Beal trade, just a weird trade. The Suns get Bradley Beal. They also get Jordan Goodwin, who didn't really do shit for them. Isaiah Todd, I don't know if he even played a second for them. The Wizards get Chris Paul, who, of course, they later flip to the Washington Warriors, I almost said. To the Golden State Warriors. And we are factoring that in. So we're factoring the Warriors part of this where they get Chris Paul as well. But the Wizards get Chris Paul, who they then turn into Jordan Poole, which hasn't really worked out just yet. But an interesting move for them. They also get, and this always never gets talked about, and I think it's because it took a little bit before this got reported, but a 24 first-round pick swap, which obviously they didn't use, but a 2026 first-round pick swap, a 2028 first-round pick swap, and a 2030 first-round pick swap. So the later you get, 26, 2 years from now, the Suns probably still okay, but the 2028, 2030 first-round pick swap could be incredibly valuable. And they got that for a guy in Bradley Beal who has been hurt pretty much consistently over the last 3 or 4 years, who was on what most people consider one of the worst contracts in the sport, with also a no-trade clause. Like, their back was up against the wall, and I think they did pretty good, all things considered, turning that into those picks, like I said, and then Jordan Poole, who had, a good amount of potential, hasn't really panned out, but you never know. He could turn it around. And the Warriors in this get Chris Paul, giving up Jordan Poole, as I said. They also gave up Patrick Baldwin Jr., who is kind of like an interesting project. Is he even still on the team? I don't remember. And they also got a 2030 first-round pick, top 20 protected, to be fair, from the Warriors in that trade. So I kind of like it for the Wizards. Now, in hindsight, should they have traded Beal at different times? Maybe. Should they have given Beal that contract? Absolutely not. But they did the best with it. The Warriors, obviously, you think about the context of where Jordan Poole was just 2 years ago, like a huge piece on that NBA Finals winning team. Like, he was massive for them. Viewed as, like, damn near the future of their franchise once Steph was done. Fast forward a year, he's punched in the face. He falls apart. They give him this big contract, and he essentially turns into like a salary dump where they have to attach pieces to get off of him to bring back Chris Paul. Now, Chris Paul was okay with the Warriors. Their numbers with him on the floor was fine, and they did get off a lot of money, but, you know, all things considered, not very good for the Warriors. So the Suns, D+ right now. It's, you know, it could change. Beal could have a great year, but they really sold their soul, man, and they got swept in embarrassing fashion last year. So far, so bad. Celtics getting Kristaps Porzingis. This was a weird trade. A weird trade. So not only do the Celtics get KP in this deal, they also get first-round picks. They got the 25th overall pick in the 2024 draft, or 2023 draft, I'm sorry. And they ended up trading that and turning it into a bunch of like second-round picks, basically. The Celtics got rid of Marcus Smart in this trade, who the Grizzlies take on. And the Grizzlies traded first-round picks for Marcus Smart. The Wizards get Tyus Jones, Danilo Gallinari, Mike Muscala, and the number 35 pick in the 2023 draft. That's the exact reason why I gave it an A, not an A+, was that Kristaps Porzingis was great with the Celtics. He unlocked a lot of things for them. But I do think they win the finals without him, honestly. But this was a great move by the Celtics. Just full stop, a great move. For the Grizzlies, kind of just, they get Marcus Smart, who was hurt all of last year, not really their fault, but we are factoring stuff like that in. They gave up picks as well, and Tyus Jones. It just, I don't know. Weird trade for them. I felt weird about it at the time. It's weird now, still. And hindsight, with what we've seen from KP, the Wizards probably could have gotten a little bit more out of this. Tyus Jones, who, you know, if they took Tyus Jones and then flipped him for a first or something, that makes it a little bit interesting, but they just let him walk for nothing. Danilo Gallinari, I'm pretty sure got waived immediately. Mike Muscala, retired now. So, you know, pretty non-consequential move for the Wizards, which now looking back on it, probably could have and should have got more. Now, Drew Holiday, this is an A+ for the Celtics. I mean, this is one of the best moves of the last 5 years. They swoop in the Damian Lillard sweepstakes, which we'll get to here in a bit. They get Drew Holiday for Malcolm Brogdon, who that time was done. There was a lot of weird stuff with him. Robert Williams, who can never stay healthy. A 2024 first-round pick and a 2029 first-round pick. That 2024 first-round pick ended up being Bub Carrington, who looked really good in Summer League. But they traded that. The Blazers did. And Malcolm Brogdon. Two of the two pieces in this trade for Deni Avdija. So I'm factoring that in as well. So the Blazers essentially turned Drew Holiday into a 2029 first-round pick, Robert Williams, and Deni Avdija. That's not terrible. That's not terrible. Keep in mind, Drew Holiday never played a single minute for the Blazers. Absolute A+ move for the Celtics. A+. Tremendous. Here we go. The Damian Lillard trade. This is how the Blazers ended up with Drew Holiday, of course. I forgot that this was a 3-team trade with Ayton and Nurkic changing teams. I thought that was a separate thing entirely. I forgot that this was like intertwined with this deal. But the Milwaukee Bucks get Damian Lillard. They give up Drew Holiday. They give up a 2029 first as well as 2 pick swaps, 2028, 2030. They also lose Grayson Allen in this deal. And look, you make an all-in trade like this, the expectations are we want to win an NBA Finals. And to lose in the first round, Giannis was hurt. To have the weird up and down wonky season that you had, 49 wins, disappointing. It's hard to feel really positive about it, although I think it's pointing upward for them. I think they'll be better next year, as long as Giannis is healthy, of course. But you want it to be better, especially when you see Drew Holiday, the guy who you traded in this, end up getting flipped to your rival in the Celtics, and he's a big reason why they go on to win the NBA Finals. That doesn't feel good. You know? That sucks. The Blazers, I give an A here. So they turn Damian Lillard into Drew Holiday and a couple of picks, and then they turn Drew Holiday into a few picks. Essentially, that later turns into Deni Avdija. But also, the Blazers were not done wheeling and dealing. This is a 3-team trade. They trade Nasir Little, Yusuf Nurkic to the Phoenix Suns. In return, get DeAndre Ayton and Toumani Camara. Camara had a pretty solid rookie season. A lot to be excited about there, I think, at least defensively. Dame averaged 32 in the playoffs. Yeah, Dame was not bad in the playoffs. But I'm saying you gave up a lot, and in the context of this trade, by giving up Drew Holiday, you basically gift-wrapped him to the Celtics, and they went on to win the NBA Finals. And you're out in the first round. I mean, what else are you going to say? The Suns get a C+ here. Grayson Allen, who they just get tacked on in this deal, was really good for them this past season. Nurkic was surprisingly healthy and really not that bad. It's just Ayton turning into that just feels ugly, you know? Your former number 1 overall pick, you picked him over Luka Doncic. You paid him, $30 million a year, and it just turned into Yusuf Nurkic and Grayson Allen. And the Blazers take a stab at DeAndre Ayton, who just had a weird up and down season, but there's still talent there. I think the Blazers made out well here. And the last move of this offseason, I thought about going with Kyrie Irving re-signing because I think it was one of the bigger moves and the more consequential moves of the offseason. However, I felt that just opened a weird door. Like if I included players re-signing with teams, it just opened up this like weird. That would obviously be an A+ for the Mavericks. I mean, just after 1 year. The Rockets going after Fred VanVleet, the biggest name to change teams in free agency. 3 years, $130 million. We all kind of golfed and laughed at that contract whenever we first heard the details. The third year being a team option. So this is maybe Fred's last year with the Rockets this upcoming season. They had a bunch of money to spend, and he was really good for them, man. He was good for them. He was a big reason why they were a lot more competitive this year. I think this is an A- move. I mean, smart front officing, right? You have money to spend, fuck it. Let's go get a guy who we think raises our floor, a vet, somebody who can help this young team out. Ime Udoka loved them. Good move. Good move. Who's the Marcus Smart beloved player that can be sacrificed to make the finals move for a chip? I mean, that was Dorian Finney-Smith. That was 100% Dodo. So we do have an A+. I want to keep track of all my A+ moves. We did get an A+ move this offseason, and that was the Boston Celtics getting Drew Holiday. Just an incredible move for them. On to the no Fs. There are Fs in this. No Fs here. On to the 2022 offseason, which was a crazy offseason. This one was crazy. We had 2 gigantic trades. Let's start with the Knicks grabbing Jalen Brunson in free agency. 4 years, $104 million. That contract, obviously, a massive steal, which is funny. Doing research for this, it was not considered that at the time. It was kind of like oh, wow, that contract can go 2 ways, and it went the right way for the Knicks. And then he signed an extension, which is also a massive steal this offseason. I mean, this is an A+. It can't be anything other than an A+ for the Knicks. To get a guy like this in free agency who basically changed the trajectory of their franchise and turned into a guy who finished top 5 in MVP voting this year. So, incredible stuff for New York. Good for Jalen Brunson. It had to happen. I'm not crying over spilt milk here. I think the Mavs are in a better place. I've said this a million times. Kyrie Irving makes more sense next to Luka. And Jalen Brunson needed to be on his own team. He needed the ball in his hands. And he's blossomed and turned into an incredible player. And I'm genuinely super happy for him. I love Jalen Brunson. So, A+. Brunson was always going to the Knicks. Yeah, the writing was on the wall, for sure. And it takes a special player to just embrace being the guy on the Knicks. It's a big deal. All right, next up we have the massive Jazz trades. So Rudy Gobert goes to the Minnesota Timberwolves. My God, I mean, the return here is just fucking nuts. So the Timberwolves get Rudy Gobert. Good God, this is crazy. The Jazz get Malik Beasley, who they later traded with Jared Vanderbilt, who they got in a different trade, to the Lakers for a protected 2027 first-round pick. I'm sorry, Jared Vanderbilt was in this trade. So Malik Beasley and Jared Vanderbilt, players in this trade, both flipped for a protected 2027 first-round pick. So I add that into this mix. Patrick Beverley, who didn't play a game with the Jazz, was traded to the Lakers that offseason for Talon Horton-Tucker and Stanley Johnson. Nothing really. They get Walker Kessler, who was a 22nd pick in that draft, who finished top 3 in Rookie of the Year voting. Has had a very strange career trajectory. Made a decently strong Rookie of the Year run as a rookie. Played for Team USA in the World Cup. And has now all of a sudden found himself in year 3 playing in the Summer League. Just a very weird, very, very weird, very, very weird career trajectory so far. They also got a 2023 first-round pick, which they turned into Keontae George. Who looked really good as a rookie for them. A 2025 first-round pick, a 2026 first-round pick swap, a 2027 first-round pick, and a 2029 first-round pick. Jesus. My Lord. This should be an A+, actually. For them to turn Rudy Gobert into that is crazy. It's funny because at the offseason, I remember we were having conversations. I had Bibbs on here, and we talked about Rudy Gobert maybe going after him because Bibbs loves Rudy Gobert. And the idea was like, yeah, we would love to have Rudy Gobert. We thought it would be like a 1 pick. We thought it'd be like, give up a first-round pick to go get him type of ordeal. And that is not what it turned into, obviously. So why do I give the Timberwolves a C+ after making the Western Conference Finals? What they just gave up. What they gave up to go get Rudy Gobert. That's a championship or bust thing, and I'm not sure that's where they're at. Truthfully, I'm not sure. That giving up all of that is fucking crazy, man. It just is. It's just absolutely insane. Now, he did just win Defensive Player of the Year with the Timberwolves. It's not like it's been a complete and total failure. I think if you were to do this a year ago, this would be an F. Based off of the weird season they had his first year there and the lack of playoff success, this would be an F. So the fact that it's been upgraded up to a C+, is good. But we shall see. So they have a hot take. I feel the Jazz offseason was almost too good to the point where they couldn't tank it all and miss out on Wemby, which would be an A++++. Knicks gave up a shit ton for Bridges too. How come they aren't getting that much hate? I think Bridges just has a higher approval rating. I think the Knicks gave up a ton for Mikal Bridges, 100%. But also the Knicks had like a treasure chest of trade assets. Like the Timberwolves that's it. So let's get to the other huge trade. Donovan Mitchell. So you might be wondering, why did the Timberwolves get a C+, the Cavs get a B+, the Timberwolves just made the conference finals. Donovan Mitchell is a much better player than Rudy Gobert. MVP vote getter. Right? Just re-signed a contract there. He's younger, and he's just better. Like, full stop. So I think it's worked out a little bit better for the Cavaliers. Now, the Jazz get an A+ for this. Here's the return the Cavs got. Ochai Agbaji. Interesting little dart throw. I think he was coming off his rookie year, I want to say. Or maybe he was just drafted. Wasn't he just drafted, actually? Traded with Kelly Olynyk to the Raptors this past year for Kira Lewis, Otto Porter, and a 2024 first-round pick. How did they end up getting a first-round pick? That turned into Isaiah Collier. We'll see how that pans out. Of course, the big get for the Jazz here, Lauri Markkanen, who has now turned into a franchise player. Colin Sexton, very good guard. A 2025 first-round pick, a 2026 first-round pick swap, a 2027 first-round pick, a 2028 first-round pick swap, and a 2029 first-round pick. My goodness. I mean, just insane. And Markkanen, who now they just paid a ton of money to. If they wanted to flip Lauri Markkanen, you're probably bringing in 4 picks. If you wanted to trade Colin Sexton, you might bring a pick or 2 in. So when it's all said and done, this trade could turn into like 10 picks, 11, 12 picks, if you want to look at it that way, for the Jazz. Just absolutely insane. But for the Cavs, you know, they went all in. Donovan Mitchell's been really good for them. It's just a matter of making it work with their core. And another thing too, why give the Timberwolves a C+? If they wanted to, let's say this upcoming season doesn't go well and they want to get off Rudy Gobert, do you think they're getting anywhere close to the return that they gave up? Absolutely not. If things go awry in Cleveland and Donovan Mitchell wants out, the Cavs will get a pretty decent return. It won't be everything that they gave up, but it'll be like a solid return for them. The DeJounte Murray trade. So the Hawks get DeJounte Murray, who of course was later traded this past offseason to the Pelicans for Dyson Daniels, EJ Liddell, Larry Nance, Cody Zeller, a 2025 first-round pick, which would be the Lakers pick, which probably won't be that great, and a 2027 first-round pick swap. They also got Jock Landale in this trade, who they traded to the Suns during the offseason, so didn't play a game. The Spurs get Danilo Gallinari, who was released, a 2023 first-round pick from the Hornets, which did not convey, a 2025 first-round pick from Atlanta, which could be interesting, a 2026 first-round pick swap, and a 2027 first. So a good return for the Spurs. Why do they get a B+ and not an A? It might sound stupid that this is my reasoning, and it's very stupid reasoning, because if DeJounte is still on the team, they're probably not bad enough to end up landing Wemby. But I can't help but feel like if he was still there and they had Wemby, that it would have made Wemby's rookie year a little bit easier. That's why. Stupid reasoning, I know. But for the Hawks, I mean, this was a failure. Full stop. This was a failure. The only reason it's not an F, and I considered throwing F here, the only reason it's not an F is because they were able to flip him and salvage some value in getting Dyson Daniels, who's an interesting player, in a pick and a pick swap. You know? But the reason why this was such a failure for the Hawks, and this sucks for me because I thought this was a great move. I thought this was a great move. You now don't really control your future. Your future is in the Spurs' hands. So you can't decide you want to tank. You can't decide this or that. Right? These Spurs, again, have your 25 first-round pick. They have your pick swap in 26. They have your 27 first-round pick. So you can't just decide we need to reset here. You have to try and be at least somewhat decent. But you didn't answer any questions. Like, usually when a team makes a trade like this and things don't pan out, you can sort of answer questions, right? Like for the Cavs. If this doesn't work out this year with Donovan Mitchell, you can look at Darius Garland and say, you know what? You can't play next to a guy like this. We have to move on from you. You can look at Jared Allen or Mobley and say, you know what? You don't fit into this core. We can move on from you. Right? What questions did the Hawks answer? They are left where they were before they made this trade, where we have Trae Young, who we think we can build around, but we don't really know how to do it. They did not answer a single question. Just a fuck up of a trade. And I thought it was good at the time. But a fuck up. They get a D-. And again, the only reason it's not an F is because they did salvage something from it. Forgot about this one here. Forgot about this one. This was kind of a big deal at the time. The Celtics trading for Malcolm Brogdon. They give up Malik Fitz, Juwan Morgan, Nick Stauskas, Daniel Tice, and also Aaron Nesmith. This is why I give this a trade an A for the Pacers, because, you know, Brogdon wanted out. You turn it into Aaron Nesmith, who just kind of had a breakout season, 3 years, $33 million. You also got a 2023 first-round pick in this that you later traded for a 2024 first-round pick that you later traded in the Siakam trade. So from the assets you got from this, you sort of worked your way into Siakam. You know, I don't know. I don't think that 2024 first-round pick was like the biggest deal, but it definitely matters. Brogdon was pretty good with the Celtics. He won Sixth Man of the Year. The reason why I don't give this higher than that is he unfortunately got injured in the playoffs. And I think his injury was kind of a big reason why they ended up losing to the Heat. And not really their fault, but yeah, injured, shocking. Just an injured guy, fraudulent sixth man. No, I think that was pretty deserving. I kind of forgot about Brogdon's time with the Celtics for some reason. I don't know why. All right, over to 2021. This wasn't that crazy of an offseason. This was maybe the most boring offseason on the list. Want to start here with Kyle Lowry. 3-year, $85 million contract. This was also a sign and trade. The Raptors received Goran Dragic and Precious Achiuwa. I didn't include them here because, it's really not that crazy of a return. No KCP. Wait, where would KCP have been? Oh, KCP going to the Nuggets. I was thinking like the big deals at the time. But Kyle Lowry just didn't pan out. Didn't finish his contract with the Heat, obviously. Ended up getting traded in the Terry Rozier deal. Ended up getting benched towards the end of his career. I wouldn't say he fell off directly after joining them because he was pretty good early. And he was good in their finals run, but injured throughout his tenure there. And, you pay a guy that much money, nearly $30 million a year. It would be really cool if you showed the game changer trades that weren't a big deal at first. I was thinking about doing that. They didn't really exist. Like, the big deals are the big deals. And we've gotten so smart that we sort of know that Toronto Mavs games is real battle scars. Yes. So just a C-. And I remember as a Mavs fan, Kyle Lowry, we really wanted him. This was a big one. We really wanted Kyle Lowry. I want to say it was between the Mavs, Pelicans, and Heat. I remember that. The Pelicans were involved as well, pretty heavily. All right, our next move right here. The Derek White trade was an in-season, though. There's no in-season trades on here. This next move is our first F. Our first F. I mean, this is maybe the worst move of the last 5 off seasons, and maybe longer than that. Just a bafflingly bad move that just looks worse and worse as the years go on. That is, of course, Russell Westbrook getting traded to the Los Angeles Lakers. Obviously, Russ ended up being absolutely horrible with the Lakers before he was inevitably dumped finally for D'Angelo Russell, who's been good for them. Jared Vanderbilt and Malik Beasley. He shot 41% from the field. 41% from the field. His final year with the Lakers. That is his worst number since his second year in the league. The Wizards, in this trade, get Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. So KCP, who is a big deal for the Lakers in their championship run. That's why he was coined KCP, keep championship players. Montrezl Harrell and Kyle Kuzma, who is also a big deal for the Lakers in their championship run. Just a fucking terrible move for the Lakers. Just enamored by getting big stars, blinded by the idea and the prospect of getting a big star, despite the fact that, hey, you know what? Russ was coming off of averaging a triple-double with Washington. We'll get to him later. Russ is on this list, I think, the rest of the time. Just a heads up. Russell Westbrook trade is included in every single offseason from here on out. Just got traded a bunch. But the Lakers just basically blowing up their core. Blowing up any real chance they had by getting rid of very, very solid key contributors in KCP and Kuzma. Very good role guys who were happy to play a role in turning that into Russell Westbrook. I mean, just a fuck up of epic proportions, man. And that's beyond even just like the awkwardness of it, the locker room vibes, how shitty it was. Let the GM cook. Just a terrible move, man. And then just the disdain Lakers fans had for Russ. It got ugly. It got really, really ugly. It was hilarious, too, because the Lakers fully exposed Russ in the bubble and then traded for him. Yeah. Imagine a championship-level team letting KCP leave for Russ. Well, that's not fair. That's not fair to the Nuggets. I know you're upset, DQ, but that's not fair. That's not fair. Well, at least the Nuggets, he went for a minimum free agent signing. I mean, it's just a hilarious move to look back on. Just a hilarious fuck up. Really could have ended any chance LeBron had at winning another one. Although they did make the conference finals a couple years ago, but that really wasn't a competitive series, despite what people may tell you. Next up, we get the Bulls were booked and busy this offseason. The Bulls were booked and busy. The Bulls getting DeMar DeRozan. 3 years, $81 million. This was a tough one to grade for a couple different reasons. And did they fuck up by maybe holding on too long to DeMar? Yes. Did they fuck up by just settling for mediocrity by having this group? Yes. However, busy and it's just Josh Giddey. No, this is the 2021 offseason. They were busy. However, DeMar was good there, man. Made the All-Star team twice. Finished 10th in MVP voting in 2022, which was maybe the best year of his entire career. Averaged 28 points per game. The most of his career was All-NBA second team. And he was terrible in the playoffs against the Bucks. Let's not forget there was a stretch there where they were like the number 1 seed. In like December. So I don't know. It's looking. It doesn't feel good to look back on, but he was good there. And yes, they didn't turn him into much, but I can't give it like a C or anything. I have to give it a B+. And I'm giving the Spurs an A- here because they turned DeMar DeRozan, who was leaving in free agency. This was a sign and trade. And Al-Farouq Aminu, remember him? Thad Young, who I'm pretty sure they later traded for a first to the Raptors. I could be wrong, but I'm fairly certain that happened. And they also got a 2025 first-round pick out of this. So the Spurs do have the Bulls' 2025 first-round pick. However, it's 1 through 10 protected. So probably won't end up getting it. That, of course, wasn't it for the Bulls. Lonzo Ball. So let's talk about this one. Now, we are using hindsight here. 4 years, $80 million contract. Why is this a D+? Lonzo, 42% from three on 7.5 attempts per game with the Bulls. Nearly 2 steals per game. Nearly a block a game. The Bulls' defense was 9 points per 100 possessions better when he was on the court. They were the best defense in the league. They had the number 1. They were the number 1 team in the Eastern Conference up until like January. The problem is, 4 years, $80 million contract. He's played 35 total games with them. And he hasn't played in 2 years. 35 games. It's unfortunate. It's no one's fault, really. But if we're just using hindsight on these, you give a guy $20 million a year and he plays 35 games over the course of 4 seasons. It fucking sucks. It sucks. It really sucks for Lonzo. Because he was turning his career into like an incredible role guy. Just an incredible role player. And unfortunately for him, it sounds like he's pretty confident he can make a comeback. I guess we'll see. Regraded to an A after his comeback. He says he does want to play. This is technically the last year of his contract, so we'll see. Another Bulls move. Alex Caruso. This is an A+. I tried to reserve the A+ moves. I tried to keep it. This can't be anything other than an A+. 4 years, $36 million. This turned into one of the best value contracts in the NBA. Was one of the best defenders in the league over his time with the Bulls. Finished 30th in defensive EPM year 1, first year 2, 5th year 3. And look, we can talk about whether it was a good trade or not, but they did flip a guy that they just added in free agency for less than $10 million a year into Josh Giddey, who you could make a pathway for him turning into like a franchise player for you. Okay? So just an A+ move. A+. Could they have gotten more from him trade-wise? Maybe. Maybe. We'll see how Giddey turns out. This could go down. If Giddey ends up sucking, this could go down to an A, just because they didn't maximize. And this last move right here, My God, I forgot about this insane move. The Jonas Valanciunas trade. A lot happened here, so let's try to go over this. So the Grizzlies trade Jonas Valanciunas, beloved with their franchise, for Steven Adams, who obviously was later traded to the Rockets. Fuck you, Jake. Who obviously was later traded to the Rockets this past season in a salary dump. But when he was healthy and playing, the Grizzlies were 5 points per 100 possessions better. His first year there, 7.7 points per 100 possessions better. His second year there when he was on the court. Ja Morant's numbers were eye-poppingly much better when Steven Adams was on the floor. Jared Butler was also involved in this trade, never played. Eric Bledsoe was involved in this trade. He was flipped that offseason to the Clippers for Patrick Beverley, Daniel Oderu, and Rajon Rondo. Rondo never played. Beverley was later traded days later for Jarrett Culver and Juancho Hernan Gomez. So I don't even know why I included that. Those are all nothings. But something that was involved in this trade that I forgot about was a pick swap. And I forgot about this. The Grizzlies wanted to move up in this draft, in the 2021 draft, to 10. They moved up from 17 to 10 to draft Zaire Williams, who, of course, they just dumped this past offseason, a fuck up. And with the 17th overall pick, the Pelicans drafted Trey Murphy. So just a kind of an interesting what if there. What if the Grizzlies just stood pat and took Trey Murphy, and he was on the Grizzlies? Makes you think. And I also want to add, the Grizzlies in this trade got a 2022 second-round pick, which turned into Vince Williams Jr., who looks like a rotation player for them. So a lot of moving pieces here. The Pelicans get Jonas Valanciunas, who they lost in the offseason for nothing, but was a 3-year starter for them, 235 games, 14 points per game, 10 rebounds per game with the Pelicans. I looked it up because I was like, that's great durability to average a double-double. How many guys have done that? Him and Nikola Vucevic are the only players in the NBA over the last 3 years to play in over 230 games and average a double-double. So there you go. Just, he was out there on the court. You know what you were getting. A flawed player? Yes. And in this trade, the Pelicans also moved back in the draft and got Trey Murphy, who's been really good for them. So why are they a B+ and not like an A? Part of this whole move was them paying Devontae Graham 4 years, $47 million in a sign-and trade. Devontae Graham only played a year and a half with the Pelicans and was not good. The Hornets managed to get a 2022 first-round pick in the sign-and trade, and that turned into Mark Williams, who looks to be a pretty promising young center. So that's why they get an A. They just were like, hey, yeah, we'll take a 2022 first-round pick for Devontae Graham. What do you think of rumors Washington signing Jonas to trade this coming season? I mean, that's pretty much what they did. If you're the Wizards, yeah, you got to do that. So that's it for the 2021 offseason. We had an F in here, the horrible, horrendous Lakers getting Russell Westbrook trade. We had an A+, Alex Caruso getting traded. Let's get to 2020. Weird offseason, COVID offseason. A good amount of shit happened here. We do have some A+. We do have a couple A+ in this offseason, actually. The Phoenix Suns getting Chris Paul. I gave them an A+. They made the NBA Finals directly after this. He was very, very good and important for them. 3 seasons with the Suns, 194 games, averaged 15 points a game, 9.5 assists per game, 2-time All-Star, 2-time All-NBA, finished top 10 in MVP voting twice, finished 5th in 2021. That was his highest finish since 2013. Helped the Suns make the Finals in 2021. Of course, was later part of the Bradley Beal trade. But an A+, all the Suns had to give up for this was Ty Jerome, Jalen LeCue, Kelly Oubre, who was pretty good for the Suns, but the Thunder later flipped Kelly Oubre for a few seconds to the Golden State Warriors. One of those seconds did turn into Aaron Wiggins. 5-year, $45 million contract this past offseason, so shout out to them there. Ricky Rubio involved in this trade, and also a 2022 first-round pick, which the Thunder, of course, later traded to Denver for a 2027 top 1 through 5 protected pick. That pick ended up being Peyton Watson. So there you go. That's what's fun about this shit, is just seeing how all of these things sort of panned out. The Thunder are B because, in hindsight, for what Chris Paul turned into and where Chris Paul was at the time, let's not forget, Chris Paul was kind of written off. Like, The Thunder, we're going to get to this trade later, but the Thunder just kind of got Chris Paul just to match salaries in yet another Russell Westbrook trade the offseason prior. And he ended up leading the Thunder to the playoffs, which nobody expected. Feels like the Thunder maybe could have gotten a little bit more out of this, but, you know, not like a terrible return or anything like that for an older Chris Paul. But Chris Paul is awesome with the Suns. I mean, this was a great move for Phoenix. Could change the trajectory of their franchise tremendously. They were in a huge playoff drought prior to this. And then they immediately make the NBA Finals. And then they sold their soul. Had a promising core, sold their soul for Kevin Durant and Bradley fucking Beal. Next up is another A-plus trade. And very interesting that the two teams that met in the NBA Finals in this season, following this offseason, traded for point guards. The Bucks getting Drew Holiday. This was a big 4-team trade, but really it was the Bucks and the Pels who were really involved. The Bucks get Drew Holiday. They also get Sam Merrill, who they later traded for Grayson Allen, who ended up being a pretty big piece for them. The Pelicans get Steven Adams via the Thunder. Steven Adams, who played a year for them and was later part of that big trade we just talked about. Eric Bledsoe, who let's not forget, the Bucks gave up a lot to get Eric Bledsoe, and that did not work at all. A 2024 first-round pick swap, which they did not use. A 2025 first-round pick, a 2026 first-round pick swap, and a 2027 first-round pick. So the trades involved, or the picks involved in this trade, haven't even really came out yet. The Pelicans are still sitting on all of these picks. I thought that was a pretty good return for the Pelicans. The reason they're a B+ and not higher right now is we don't know. We don't know what those picks are going to turn into. We've yet to see. But for the Bucks, I mean, you got an NBA championship out of this. And let's not forget, the Bucks made this move, and immediately Giannis signed a contract extension with them. So you have to factor that in as well. 3 seasons with the Bucks for Drew Holiday, 193 games, a one-time All-Star, 2-time All-Defensive First Team, 1-time All-Defensive Second Team, finished top 8 in Defensive Player of the Year votings all 3 seasons. Of course, was a champion. 40 playoff games with the Bucks, 47% true shooting in those playoffs. Not an efficient guy in the playoffs, except, of course, when he fucking plays the Mavericks. That's neither here nor there. And again, the Bucks get Sam Merrill in this trade, who they later just trade straight up for Grayson Allen, who goes on to play 138 games with Milwaukee, shoots 40% from 3. And, of course, Drew was later a part of the Damian Lillard trade. So, kudos to the Bucks. A+. A+. What's next? Oh, another Russell Westbrook trade. Russell Westbrook sent to the Washington Wizards. In return, the Rockets get John Wall, who played 40 games with the Rockets total. A 2023 first-round pick, which was top 24 protected. A bunch of protections on this pick. There's a chance that they don't even get this pick, because let me explain it. 2023 first-round pick, which was protected. It didn't convey. 2024 Washington first-round pick, which was top 12 protected. Obviously, that didn't convey. 2025 first-round pick now, but that's top 10 protected. That probably won't convey. 2026 first-round pick, which is top 8. So they probably won't even get a pick out of this, the Rockets, if I had to guess. So essentially, Russell Westbrook for John Wall. And look, Russ, we gave an F to the Russell Westbrook trade. The Lakers did a year later. The reason why the Lakers felt they needed to give up what they did to get Russell Westbrook, who it felt like was on his last legs, is Russ had a really fucking good season for Washington. Like, genuinely a good season. Led the league in assists with 11.7, which was a career high for him. 11.5 rebounds per game, also a career high. 22 points per game. Averaged a triple-double. Finished 11th in MVP voting. Was like the reason the Wizards made the playoffs for the first time in 3 years. Russ was pretty fun to watch with the Wizards, honestly. Definitely the best Wizard that year, and not even really close. That was like pretty fun to watch, honestly. And the Rockets get nothing out of it. Rockets maybe should be lower for this. I think that was the 4th time Russ averaged a triple-double, and I'm assuming the last Was Russ and KP on the same team? No. No, this was prior to the KP trade. A season prior. He was on the Lakers by that point. I wonder how Wizards fans feel about. I'm sure they look back on Russ's career with the Wizards and view it in high regard, right? That was fun. The Hawks had a pretty big offseason here. I'm lumping these two together. They go out and they get Bogdan Bogdanovic, 4 years, $72 million. Let's not forget. I want you guys to remember this. The Bucks were getting Bogdan. And that fell through because of some weird tampering shit. You guys remember that? The Milwaukee Bucks were going to have Bogdan as well as Drew Holiday. And Dante DiVincenzo was involved. It was this huge thing. And it was reported that sign and trade was happening days before free agency started. And everyone was like, wait, what the fuck? How is this allowed? And this led to a bunch of like somebody paid Woj to like sabotage the Bucks. It was a whole thing. A whole thing. Anyways, Bogdan ends up not going to the Bucks, and the Atlanta Hawks swoop in and pick him up. 4 years, $72 million. He later signed a 4 year, $68 million contract extension. 4 seasons with Atlanta so far. 15.5 points per game. 58% true shooting, nearly 40% from three. Finished 6th in Sixth Man of the Year voting in 2022. 5th this past season. Maybe he should be higher than that. Wasn't great during their conference finals run, but has been a really good player for them over his career. And who knows? I mean, I'm sure they could flip him into something interesting. And they also bring in Danilo Gallinari, who just had a great year with the Thunder the year prior to this. 3 years, $61 million. Spent 2 years with Atlanta, 117 games, 12.5 points per game, 39% from three. The last 12 games in their Eastern Conference Finals run, Gallinari, 14.5 points per game, 44% from three, including 17 points in their Game 7 win against the Sixers in the second round. Good moves. Good moves. This is the last good move. Gordon Hayward to the Hornets. 4 years, $120 million. Just a baffling contract at the time. Everyone knew it wouldn't work, and guess what? It didn't work. Played 4 years, 168 games with the Hornets. Never played more than 50 games in a season. Wasn't terrible when he played, but was constantly injured. And yeah, the Pacers were heavily involved here. It was like a big bidding war for Gordon Hayward. But he ends up somehow securing $30 million a year. Which is kind of insane because everyone knew that he would never play, and he never played. So just a D move here for the Hornets. I guess if you're the Hornets, you have to overpay to get free agents, but I don't know. Just didn't really work out. All right, on to the last offseason. The 2019 offseason, which going back and looking at it, I think I could say with some confidence, this might be the craziest offseason in American sports history, just in terms of player movement. Just absolutely insane what happened. And we're going to get to some fun ones and some difficult ones to grade in hindsight. Let's just start here. The Kemba Walker. That's true. And the draft. Kemba Walker goes to the Boston Celtics in a sign and trade. 4 years, $140 million. What up, Squiggly? The Hornets, I'm adding them in here. They get Terry Rozier in this signing trade. Nice job. B+. Losing Kemba sucks. Especially when there was a lot of talks that they should have just traded Kemba prior to this, knowing that he would probably leave. To sort of maximize that value. But Kemba goes to Boston, is good. One-time All-Star, year one, looks fine, and then just falls off. Injured, knees, completely abandoned him, and that's that. Only spends 2 years in Boston, only plays 99 games, and was later dumped for Al Horford. Salary dump. They had to attach a first-round pick, which later became Alperen Şengün to the Thunder. The Thunder traded that pick, obviously. But Al Horford's been good for them. But that was a salary dump at the time. Al Horford had no value. So this just did not pan out. The Celtics, for a while, they were going big name hunting. I mean, they wanted their big guy to pair next to Tatum and Brown. They went out and they got Kyrie, and it didn't work. They went out and they got Kemba, and it didn't work. They got Gordon Hayward, and that didn't work. It's crazy that this is like the 6th or 7th or maybe even 8th biggest move of this offseason. And it was a big deal at the time. Russell Westbrook finds himself here again. Another F trade for Russell Westbrook. So we'll get to the Kawhi and Paul George stuff. The Russell Westbrook era in OKC comes to an end. This was a big deal at the time. This is the first time Russell Westbrook was traded. I know he's been on this list a lot, but this was the first one. The Rockets get Russell Westbrook. In return, the Oklahoma City Thunder get Chris Paul, who I mentioned earlier was just kind of an afterthought at this point. People thought his career was kind of winding to a close. He was hurt all the time in Houston. And, of course, he ends up having a tremendous year with the Thunder, making the All-Star team, second team All-NBA, finished 7th in MVP voting, averaged 17 points per game, averaged 21 points per game in the playoffs. He carried them to the playoffs. The Thunder, this is insane. This is actually nuts to me. The Thunder get 3 picks in this, and they just now started happening. 2024 first-round pick, which they drafted Nikola Topic. That was a Houston Rockets pick from the Russell Westbrook trade in 2019. A 2025 first-round pick swap with the Rockets, which is top 20 protected. So we'll see if that one even pans out. Probably not, if I had to guess. And a 2026 first-round pick, unprotected. Kind of insane. It's so interesting. Like from 2019, and these picks are still happening, and just now happening. So we have no idea how good Topic is going to be. Probably won't even play his rookie year. I don't know. I haven't heard any updates on that. But anyways, Russell Westbrook on the Rockets, one season, obviously, 57 games. Did make an All-Star team. Did make third team All-NBA. Averaged 27 points per game, 8 rebounds per game, 7 assists per game. But was absolutely atrocious in the playoffs. They lose round 1 to the Lakers in embarrassing fashion. I'm sorry, that's not true. Round 2, right? Either way, they get spanked because they beat the Thunder. They beat the Thunder in the first round. They get absolutely spanked. Russell Westbrook had a 46% true shooting percentage in that postseason. And yeah, it's an F. This like sparked the beginning of the end of the Harden thing. It already was kind of ending, but they were getting very desperate. Houston was. They were a little bit desperate with Chris Paul. That didn't work out, and then it was just pure desperation mode from there. Russ, John Wall, Christian Wood, anything, and nothing happened. Nothing worked. Nothing stuck. It's an F. Jimmy Butler. So that's what I'm telling you. This was a fucking insane offseason. I forgot that Jimmy Butler to the Heat happened in this offseason. And this was like the 5th or 6th biggest move. This is an A-plus move for Miami. So Jimmy Butler, obviously, the offseason prior, traded from Minnesota to Philly. That was a huge thing. And it felt like, all right, Jimmy Butler and Embiid and Ben Simmons, like this is tough. This is a good grouping. And he leaves. Goes to Miami, 4 years, $140 million. Josh Richardson goes to Philadelphia in a sign and trade. Didn't really pan out. And so far, Jimmy Butler, 5 years, 291 games with Miami, 21 points per game, 6 rebounds per game, 5.7 assists per game, 2-time All-Star, 3-time All-NBA, 1-time All-Defense, MVP votes twice. He's averaged 24 points per game in the playoffs with them. They've made the finals twice. They've made the conference finals 3 times? He turned into an absolute demon during their second finals run, 27 points per game in that postseason. A+. Changed the culture entirely in Miami. And for the last 5 years, they've been a real legitimate finals contender. And that run could be approaching its end currently, but I think if they had to do it all again, they 1,000% would. Didn't realize the Heat went to the bubble finals in his first season there. Yep. Crazy, man. It's crazy this happened this offseason. All right. This happened this offseason too. So much shit went down. So the Lakers trade for Anthony Davis, this was like 2 years in the making. Everyone knew this was going to happen. It was just a matter of when and who was going where. The Lakers get Anthony Davis. The Pelicans get Lonzo Ball, who plays the best basketball of his career with the Pelicans. 2 seasons, 118 games, 13 points per game, 6.5 assists per game, 5.5 rebounds. Looked like Lonzo Ball was turning in, and he was turning into Lonzo Ball we all expected, and unfortunately, we went over this earlier. Josh Hart goes to the Pelicans. 3 seasons, 153 games, was really good with the Pels. 10.7 points per game, 7.3 rebounds per game. Later, yesterday, shitted all over New Orleans, saying that nobody's excited to get traded to the Pelicans. He's trying to backtrack now, but it's a little too late. Josh Hart, later a big piece in the C.J. McCollum trade. And the big splash for the Pelicans, Brandon Ingram, who has spent 5 seasons with the Pels, 287 games, 23 points per game, won most improved there, made an all-star game there, had a really bad postseason this past season, 14 points per game against the Thunder. But I don't want to look over the other playoff series he spent with them against Phoenix, when, of course, Zion was hurt, where he averaged 27 points per game and looked great and pushed that series to 6 games when they didn't really have a chance. The Pelicans also got a 2022 first-round pick in this trade, which they turned into Dyson Daniels, who was later the key piece of the DeJounte Murray trade. You have to see how that happens. A 23 first-round pick, which they have deferred like 5 times, and a 2025 first-round pick. So a pretty decent return for Anthony Davis. The reason it's not higher is Anthony Davis around this time was a top 5 player. Maybe even top 3. And could we say with any confidence that this was a good return for a top 3 player? No. There's still time, but probably not. And Brandon Ingram is like on his last legs with the organization. And I can't imagine the return they get for him is high. Anthony Davis with the Lakers, 5 years, 270 games so far. 24 points per game, 10.8 rebounds per game, 2.2 blocks per game, 3-time All-Star, 2-time All-NBA, 2-time All-Defense, 2-time top 4 and Defensive Player of the Year finish, MVP, top 6 finish, and a champion, obviously. A champion. The Lakers get an A+. They go on to win the NBA Finals the year after this. And they've been... It's gone downhill. It really went downhill with the Russell Westbrook fuck-up trade, but they've been good. They've been contenders. They made the conference finals 2 years ago. This has to be an A+ for the Lakers. It just has to be. Okay. So the Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving to Brooklyn. This was a very difficult one to grade. Very difficult one. So Kevin Durant leaves Golden State after that team looking absolutely unbeatable. Lots of turmoil. Him and Draymond hated each other. It was time to move on. He goes to Brooklyn. 4 years, $164 million. This was a sign and trade for D'Angelo Russell. Now, why am I including the Golden State Warriors in this? This was a failure for them. This was a failure. They really let egos get in the way of what was an unbeatable team. And just losing Kevin Durant in 3 years. And yeah, it was awesome to have Kevin Durant. They won 2 rings, whatever. They were unbeatable. Probably the best team ever assembled. It was a fuck up for this to be over. KD, 3 years in Brooklyn, 129 games, 3-time All-Star, All-NBA, finished 10th in MVP voting one season. 55 games was the most he played in a season for them. Obviously did not play the entire first year there, recovering from that Achilles tear. 33 points per game in the 2021 postseason on 63% true shooting. Absolutely nuts. Kyrie Irving signed straight up. 4 years, $136 million. Spent 4 years there, 143 games, 27 points per game, 27.5 points per game in 2022, which was a career high for him. 2-time All-Star, All-NBA. 13 playoff games. Only 13 playoff games with Brooklyn. 58% true shooting in those postseason. I'd give the Nets an A for what it's worth. They bought themselves some relevancy for the first time since J. Kidd was there. So the reason why they don't get an A is because you do all of this. You go out and get Kevin Durant. Quite possibly the best player in the world at the time. You go out and you get him. You pair him with Kyrie Irving. You later pair both those guys with James Harden. And James Harden only wants to go there because those two are there. So that's why I'm including James Harden kind of in this. You got to make it to a conference finals. You have to. And it's unfortunate because they were constantly dealing with injuries, but you got to make it to at least a conference finals. You know, they only won one playoff series the entire time they were together. It can't be an A. But the reason it's a B+ is, that series against the Bucks in 2021, the Kevin Durant foot on the line thing, they probably win the NBA Finals that year. Like, they probably go on to take care of business against the Hawks, and they probably beat the Suns. Like, they probably win. But we're not really doing probablys. The reason why this isn't lower, now you might think, why isn't this lower? We'll get to the Clippers here in a bit, and I went hard on the Clippers. The reason why the Nets aren't lower for not having like a ton of success during this era, like real success, is because what they were able to turn Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving into later. So obviously Kevin Durant gets traded. Kevin Durant gets traded for Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, a 2023 first-round pick, which became Noah Clowney, a 2025 first-round pick, a 2027 first-round pick, a 2028 first-round pick, and a 2029 first-round pick. So that's what Kevin Durant gets traded for from Phoenix, right? Now, Mikal Bridges, they later turn into Bojan Bogdanovic, whatever, but a 2025 first-round pick, another 2025 first-round pick, a 2027 first-round pick, and a 2031 first-round pick. So the Kevin Durant, they go out and get Kevin Durant. He's really good for them. They later turn him into, what the fuck, that's like 11 picks right there. Kyrie Irving, obviously that relationship got very sour towards the end, but they were able to turn him into Spencer Dinwiddie, Dorian Finney-Smith, who knows what they can turn him into, and a 2029 first-round pick. So the Nets were able to salvage their situation a tiny bit. And it felt like, man, they were really close. Where, let's get to the Clippers. The Clippers never felt close, actually. And they did not salvage shit. I actually thought about giving the Clippers an F. And the reason I didn't is because this did make them relevant. There was a tiny stretch where the Clippers, long time, the Lakers' little brother, a tiny stretch was like, oh my God, can the Clippers win a ring and just like turn LA into like this more split Clippers, Lakers, Kawhi and Paul George are going to make the Clippers relevant forever. Like they're going to be a contending team forever. It's the only reason I don't give them an F. This was a failure through and through. This was a failure. And looking back on it in retrospect, what an unbelievable failure this was. Unbelievable. I mean, let's just start. Kawhi Leonard, they sign outright contract. You do that 100 times out of 100. You do whatever they did 100 times out of 100 probably. And the Paul George trade, which wow, is shocking to look at in hindsight. But Paul George being traded to the Clippers was a big reason why Kawhi went to the Clippers. So they don't get Kawhi without Paul George. So keep that in mind. Right? Listen to this fucking trade. The Clippers get Paul George. The Thunder get Danilo Gallinari, who was like a good player for them and helped them make the playoffs the next year. A 2021 first-round pick, which turned into Trey Mann. Whatever. A 2022 first-round pick, which turned into J-Dub. Who would you rather have right now, J-Dub or Paul George? How about that? Just that, straight up. A 2023 first-round pick, which the Thunder traded to Miami for a 2025 first-round pick. But this turned into Jaime Jaquez. A 2024 first-round pick, who the Thunder just drafted Dylan Jones. We'll have to wait and see there. A 2025 first-round pick, another 2025 first-round pick, and a 2026 first-round pick. So we still have 3 first-round picks to go. Oh, and the Thunder also get Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in this trade. 2-time All-Star, 2-time All-NBA, first team, top 5 in MVP voting twice, and second in MVP voting this past season. Meanwhile, Paul George, 5 seasons with the Clippers, 263 games, 74 games this past season. That's the most he played in a season by a lot there. Only plays in 38 playoff games. 3-time All-Star, 1-time All-NBA. 56% true shooting in the playoffs. Was fucking terrible in the bubble for them. In that embarrassing collapse against the Nuggets, he was absolutely awful for them. Had some pretty good moments. Did carry them to a conference finals, but that's it. This duo made it to one conference final, and ironically enough, Kawhi tore his ACL. So Kawhi has yet to play in a conference finals game with the Clippers. And it is ironic that the only time they make the conference finals, neither of them are healthy. And look, I'll give them some props. I'll stand on business. I've said this a million times. I'll continue to say it. 2021, if Kawhi Leonard does not tear his ACL against the Jazz in the second round, I think the Clippers win the NBA Finals that year. That's the level they were playing at. That's the level Kawhi Leonard was playing at. It's actually the best basketball I've ever seen anybody play, and I'm not just saying that. I mean, that's serious. Kawhi Leonard against the Mavericks in that series was the best basketball I've ever seen. It was insane what he was doing. Tears his ACL, of course. Paul George, to his credit, carries the Clippers. They shock the Nuggets by spreading the floor, and that was really kind of the beginning of, whoa, Rudy Gobert, holy shit. And then, boom, they lose to the Suns, and that's not really their fault. But that was it. I don't even know if they won a playoff series after that. Next year, 2022, they lose in the play-in tournament. 2023, they lose in the first round to the Phoenix Suns. Guess what? Kawhi Leonard's playing. Paul George out with a shoulder injury. Oh, Kawhi Leonard plays 2 games, and now he's out. 2024, the Clippers. This is it. They trade for James Harden. They look like the best team in basketball through January. Oh my God, this is the year for the Clippers. They just went to Boston and dominated the Celtics on the road. Just beat them by 30 points in Boston. Holy shit, this is the year. Fizzle out. Lose in the first round of the Dallas Mavericks. Oh, what's that? Kawhi Leonard has a weird knee injury. Oh, he'll be fine. I remember I told you guys, I was like, Kawhi Leonard might not be fine. In the lead up to that series, everyone's like, Kawhi Leonard will be fine. I'm like, I'm not sure Kawhi Leonard will be fine. Sure enough, wasn't fine. Played in 2 games. Looked terrible. Clippers losing 6. Era over. Paul George leaves for nothing. And the reason why everything I just described, well, they made a conference finals at least. Like, why are they here and the Brooklyn Nets, who only won 1 playoff series, get a B+? The Brooklyn Nets salvaged their situation by turning Kevin Durant, mainly Kevin Durant, but Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving into a fuck ton of picks and future assets. The Clippers, it's over. Paul George leaves for nothing in free agency. If you want to trade Kawhi Leonard now, what are you getting in return? What are you getting in return for Kawhi Leonard at this point? Maybe a couple picks? What are you getting for James Harden at this point? Nothing. What a failure this was, man. And it's a little bit sad too, because when this happened, it was like one of the most insane experiences I can remember. I'm being on Twitter, just being like in basketball communities. When this went down, it was just like, oh my God. The Paul George to the Clippers trade broke at like 2 a.m. Just insane. Insane to look back on this. Thunder get an A+, obviously. Dude, I mean, this trade turning into Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and now J-Dub for you. Jesus. Just think about that. You obviously wouldn't trade Shai Gilgeous-Alexander straight up for Paul George. That's been the case now for like 2 or 3 years. You wouldn't trade J-Dub straight up for Paul George. And there's still more picks to come. Damn. I was supposed to put Julius Randle in here. I guess I forgot. I also had Julius Randle going to the Knicks involved in this. 3 years, $62 million. That ended up being a good one. That was fun. I like looking back on this stuff. Let's look at now I want to compare that to the Bleacher Report. Regrading the trades. 10 of the biggest NBA trades the last 5 years. Let's see. Phoenix Suns trade for Kevin Durant. Oh, so they're doing in-season trades too. I only wanted to do off-seasons. If I knew they were doing in-season trades, I would have done it. Nets regrade A+++++++. I agree. Suns B. I would go C+. Why would it be a B? Like, why? If you trade that much to get Kevin Durant, losing in the first round of the playoffs is not acceptable whatsoever. No, not acceptable at all. I guess they lost round 2 a year ago, but still not acceptable. Cleveland Cavaliers trade for Donovan Mitchell. Cavs B+. That's about what I gave them, right? Jazz A. That has to be an A+. That's an insane return. Mavs trade for Kyrie Irving. This is an A+ for the Mavs. Nope, it's an A+. There's no way it's not an A+. There's no way it's not an A+. They made the fucking NBA Finals. It's an A+. Nets get a B. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. No, it's giving the Nets a B for the Kyrie trade, not the Mavs. Timberwolves trade for Rudy Gobert. Wolves A-. No, sorry. Jazz A+. So how did the Jazz get an A+ for the Gobert trade, but not an A+ for the Mitchell trade? Like, they got Lowry Markkanen in that Mitchell trade on top of 1 trillion picks. Kings and Pacers swap Sabonis and Halliburton. Okay, this is juicy. So for me, Pacers A+, for the Kings C minus. Kings A. No. Pacers A+. Yeah. Sorry, no. It can't be. It fucking can't be. It cannot be. I'm sorry. No. Lakers trade for Russell Westbrook. F. Yep, F. There you go. Wizards A-. Bulls trade for Nikola Vucevic. This has to be an F, right? D, yeah. What did that turn into again? Wendell Carter, Otto Porter, the Franz Wagner pick. Oh. Damn. Sixers trade for James Harden. What was in this trade? Ben Simmons and like how many picks? Seth Curry, Andre Drummond, Ben Simmons, 23 first-round pick, which was Bryce Sensabaugh, so I guess that was traded. A 2027 first-round pick. Like this is just like C's all the way around. C+, D? Okay. Oh, the Bryce Sensabaugh pick was traded for Royce O'Neal. Interesting. Nuggets trade for Aaron Gordon. A+ for the Nuggets. What did the Magic get for this? Gary Harris, RJ Hampton, and a 2025 protected first? Ugh. D. Clippers trade for Norman Powell. This is really one of the 10 biggest trades. What about like the KP trades? Any of the KP trades? This was a good trade for the Clippers. Norm Powell, Eric Bledsoe, Justice Winslow, Keon Johnson, a 2025 second round pick. No, I think this would have to be an A for the Clippers. Just like, look who they gave up. They gave up no one. And Norman Powell's been really good. It's a horrible trade. Regrade for the NBA. Huh. Oh, well, that was fun. That was fun. And you know what? Folks, local restaurant and car shop customers are always so confused about what they're hearing. I'm spreading that slightly biased propaganda wherever I work at. Slightly biased, say hi to the dining room. Hello, dining room. Hope you guys are having a great day. Sally should make his own articles. Is that not what I'm doing? I just did an hour-long PowerPoint presentation. Verbal articles. Thank you all for coming out. All of the OGs. What do you think will be the highest rated move from this current offseason? Now, what makes a move highly rated is like when it's kind of undervalued at the time. It could be Clay. It could be Clay. Very, very well could be. I feel like this will be looked back upon as like kind of a slow offseason. Not a lot happened. Relatively speaking. I mean, there were some big moves, don't get me wrong, but we look back on like some of the past off seasons and it's like, Jesus. That arms race in 2019 was insane, man. Oh my God. Anyways, thank you all for coming out. All the OGs, guys, I love you very much. Could have spent your Friday afternoon anywhere in the world. You decided to spend it here. If you missed anything on the stream or you want to go back and rewatch it, I'll be posting clips from this stream on the Slightly Biased Clips channel. Make sure you check that out. New subscribers, thank you guys so much. I promise you guys will not regret it. Donations, members, thank you guys so much. You never have to do that, but it helps me out tremendously. It makes me feel so good. You guys enjoy the rest of your Friday. Enjoy your weekend. I will talk to you all. Now, I wish I could go on playback tomorrow for my Gunners, but I have a family thing tomorrow, so will not be able to watch. Not be able to watch. But you guys enjoy your weekend. I'll talk to you all again on Monday. We'll be live here every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. Love you all. Talk to you all later. Bye.